Do you know that beneath Pyongyang streets, Kim Jong Un reportedly hosts secret parties that reveal a world of excess, political games, and disturbing practices far from public view? Known globally as a strict dictator, these gatherings suggest something much deeper. In this video, we explore classified events, the mysterious pleasure squad, and how these covert meetings affect global politics. Deep beneath the streets of Pyongyang lies a venue so luxurious and secretive that it rivals the most exclusive establishments anywhere in the world. This place is called the Master, and getting inside requires clearance levels that most North Korean officials will never achieve. The Master isn't just a party venue, it's essentially an underground palace. When you step inside, you're immediately transported into a world that seems to exist in a completely different reality from the North Korea that most people know. We're talking about marble floors that gleam like glass, crystal chandeliers that cascade like waterfalls of diamonds, and intricate artwork that would make museum curators weep. The centerpiece is the grand ballroom, where guests mingle under glittering chandeliers on the softest carpets, surrounded by an atmosphere of untold wealth. But tucked away in a discreet corner of the venue is something that technically shouldn't exist in North Korea at all: a secret casino. Now remember, gambling is completely illegal in North Korea for ordinary citizens. The government has a strictly negative attitude toward gambling in society. But the Master operates by different rules entirely. This casino offers everything from blackjack and roulette to poker and slot machines, creating an atmosphere that's electric with the sound of shuffling cards and clinking chips. The security around this place is absolutely unprecedented. We're talking about multiple layers of clearance, background checks that go back generations, and consequences for breaching confidentiality that are, frankly, terrifying. Every single person who enters must pledge absolute silence, and breaking that vow isn't just career-ending, it can be life-ending. Now, central to understanding these parties, the Pleasure Squad represents one of the most troubling aspects of Kim Jong Un's secret gatherings, and it's a practice that goes back decades in North Korean leadership. This system was established by Kim Jong Un's grandfather, Kim Il-sung, who believed in a twisted logic that being with young women could somehow grant him immortality. This didn't prevent his death, but the practice continued under Kim Jong Un and has been maintained by Kim Jong Un, though he's adapted it to fit his own preferences. The recruitment process is systematic. Every year, military officers and officials are given orders to find approximately 25 young women from across North Korea. These aren't random selections. There are very specific criteria that must be met. They must be under a certain height, typically around 5 feet 4 inches. They must have flawless skin with no scars or blemishes, soft voices, and most importantly, they must be virgins. The selection process often takes place in schools, where officers will walk into classrooms and scan the room for potential candidates. Once selected, they undergo medical examinations and background checks that scrutinize not just their history, but their entire family's political loyalty and medical records. The families of them are told that their daughters are being selected for important government projects. They're given money and gifts, and many parents feel honored that their daughter has been chosen to serve the supreme leader. They have no idea what their daughters will be forced to endure. Once selected, these are completely cut off from their families. They're told they can never see or speak to their loved ones again. They become person of the regime, trapped in a world of secrecy that most of them entered as children. The Pleasure Squad is organized into 3 distinct groups, each with specific and degrading roles. The first group provides what are euphemistically called intimate services. These are stripped of their autonomy and dignity, their bodies used as objects to satisfy the leadership's demands. The second group consists of those trained as masseuses, but this isn't therapeutic massage. They must provide not only physical relief, but also emotional comfort, blurring the lines between servant and confidant. Some are even sent as far as Hong Kong for specialized training in massage techniques. The third group is the entertainers, singers, and dancers. The training they receive is rigorous and dehumanizing. They're taught to entertain, obey, and please without question. Their humanity is systematically stripped away as they're transformed from individuals with hopes and dreams into instruments for the regime's elite. How do you think a system like this can exist in the 21st century? And why do you think more countries and organizations have not spoken out against it? Let us know in the comments below. So, who actually gets invited to these events? The guest list reads like a who's who of North Korean power, but it's more exclusive than you might think. Out of Kim Jong Un's 200 closest associates, only about 40 people are chosen for any given party. These aren't random selections either. Every invitation is carefully calculated based on political loyalty, current usefulness, and sometimes as a test of allegiance. The guests include high-ranking government officials, military leaders, and key figures in the Workers' Party, but here's what makes it really intriguing. There are persistent rumors that foreign dignitaries, and even international celebrities, have attended these gatherings, though concrete evidence remains deliberately elusive. What's fascinating is how attendance or absence from these parties can actually influence North Korea's international relations. An invitation might be seen as an attempt to improve relations with a specific country, while a notable absence could be interpreted as a political statement or even diplomatic isolation. The selection process itself reveals a lot about how power works in North Korea. It's not just about your official position, it's about your personal relationship with Kim Jong Un, your family's history of loyalty to the regime, and sometimes simply whether you've pleased the leader recently. This creates an atmosphere where powerful officials are constantly competing not just for political influence, but for social access. The parties themselves are a disturbing blend of political theater and depraved entertainment that can last until the early hours of the morning. These aren't casual social gatherings, they're carefully orchestrated events where power is displayed, alliances are tested, and the darkest impulses of authoritarian leadership are given free rein. The evening typically begins with elaborate performances. The Moranbong Band, a group handpicked by Kim Jong Un himself, often provides entertainment that defies everything you'd expect from North Korean culture. These women perform in off-shoulder evening gowns and high heels, sometimes covering Disney songs with Mickey Mouse and Winnie the Pooh in the background. Other times, appearing in short dresses that draw comparisons to South Korean girl groups. But as the night progresses and alcohol flows freely, the atmosphere becomes increasingly sinister. The parties are fueled by endless champagne, lavish food spreads that cost more than most North Koreans see in a lifetime, and an atmosphere of complete impunity where normal rules simply don't apply. Some of the most troubling reports describe inappropriate and coercive activities during these gatherings, where participants, regardless of gender, are subjected to degrading treatment. Accounts suggest that these events sometimes involve forced participation in embarrassing games or rituals, often while under the influence of alcohol. Such practices reflect the deeper issues of power abuse and control embedded within the system. The members of the pleasure squad are forced to participate in whatever the guests demand. Some provide massages that go far beyond anything therapeutic. Others are expected to engage in intimate activities with whoever selects them, and the entertainers must perform increasingly provocative acts as the night continues. What makes this even worse is that these aren't just parties, they're displays of absolute power. The ability to force other people to do whatever you want, whenever you want, serves as a constant reminder to all attendees of just how much control the regime has over human lives. But before we continue exploring the power behind closed doors, make sure to hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and share it with your friends. It truly helps me out, and I promise to bring you even more awesome content. But here's what most people don't understand about these gatherings. They're not just about personal indulgence. They serve a crucial political function in maintaining Kim Jong Un's grip on power. These parties are where real decisions get made, where policies are discussed, and where the future of North Korea is determined. Behind the facade of entertainment and excess, influential figures engage in conversations that have far-reaching consequences for the entire country. Military strategies are discussed, economic policies are debated, and international relations are shaped over glasses of imported champagne that cost more than most North Koreans earn a year. The guest list itself becomes a political tool. Who gets invited and who doesn't sends clear messages about current favor and prospects. Officials know that their attendance at these events can make or break their careers, creating an atmosphere where loyalty is constantly being tested and rewarded. These gatherings also serve as a form of kompromat, the Russian term for compromising material. When powerful officials participate in these depraved activities, they become complicit in the regime's crimes. They can't speak out against Kim Jong Un because they've participated in activities that would destroy them if revealed. The decisions made at these parties ripple out to affect millions of lives. Domestic policies that will impact food distribution, international strategies that could lead to conflict or diplomacy, and military decisions that affect regional stability are all influenced by conversations that happen while other people are being exploited in the background. What happens in these underground chambers doesn't stay there. The decisions made during Kim Jong Un's secret parties have influenced some of the most significant geopolitical events of the past decade. When you understand that nuclear policy, military strategy, and international diplomacy are being decided in an atmosphere of complete moral corruption, it changes how you view North Korea's actions on the world stage. Consider this. Some of the most aggressive missile toasts, the decisions to engage in diplomatic talks with South Korea and the United States, and even North Korea's relationship with China, have all been influenced by conversations that took place during these gatherings. Foreign policy isn't being made in government offices or military headquarters. It's being shaped in rooms where human dignity is treated as disposable. The presence of foreign dignitaries at these events, while difficult to confirm, represents a particularly troubling aspect of international relations. If foreign officials or business leaders have attended these parties, they've witnessed or participated in activities that would be considered serious crimes in their home countries. This creates leverage that Kim Jong Un can use in future negotiations. The intelligence value of these gatherings is enormous. Every conversation, every alliance formed, and every disagreement witnessed becomes valuable information that can be used to predict North Korea's future actions. This is why intelligence agencies around the world are so interested in getting information about what happens behind these closed doors. But there's also a human cost that extends far beyond North Korea's borders. The normalization of this level of exploitation and abuse at the highest levels of government sends a message about what authoritarian regimes can get away with. It demonstrates that in closed societies, there are no limits to how power can be abused. Let's talk about what happens to the women. Most of these serve until they're in their early 20s, at which point they're typically retired from the squad. But retirement doesn't mean freedom. Many are married off to elite guards or given positions in the military, where they can be kept under close surveillance to ensure their silence. The regime can never risk these people speaking publicly about what they've witnessed and experienced. The few testimonies we have from people who managed to escape this system paint a picture of systematic psychological destruction. These describe feeling like they lost their identity, their sense of self-worth, and their ability to form normal relationships. But the impact extends to their families as well. Parents who sent their children away believing they were serving their country in an honorable capacity eventually realized the truth. There's also the broader societal impact within North Korea. The existence of the squad, even if not openly discussed, sends a message to the population about the value of women and the extent of the regime's power. It reinforces a system where human beings can be treated as commodities and where the powerful can take whatever they want from the powerless. What do you think is the long-term impact on a society when people, especially individuals, are treated as tools for control and silenced through fear? Let us know in the comments below. The financial resources devoted to these parties and the squad system represent a staggering misallocation of resources in a country where millions struggle with food insecurity. Reports indicate that Kim Jong Un has spent over $120,000 on luxury lingerie in a single year. Presumably, for the squad, the regime also allocated over $12 million on tobacco products, including premium cigars and cigarettes, while ordinary citizens struggle on daily wages as low as $4.40. What we're seeing with Kim Jong Un's secret parties isn't unique in the history of authoritarian regimes. Throughout history, dictators have used similar combinations of luxury, exploitation, and secrecy to maintain power and control their inner circles. From ancient Roman emperors to modern-day autocrats, the pattern remains remarkably consistent. What makes the North Korean system particularly disturbing is its systematic nature and the way it's been institutionalized across multiple generations of leadership. This isn't just personal depravity, it's a calculated system of control that serves multiple political purposes. The secrecy surrounding these events also follows a familiar pattern. Authoritarian regimes understand that maintaining mystery and fear around the leader's private activities helps reinforce their power. When people don't know exactly what their leader is capable of, they're more likely to assume the worst and behave accordingly. But there's something uniquely modern about how Kim Jong Un has adapted this system. Unlike his predecessors, he's had to navigate a world where information travels faster and international scrutiny is more intense. The fact that he's maintained and even expanded these practices despite global awareness shows just how confident he is in his ability to operate with complete impunity. The information we have about these secret parties comes at an enormous human cost. Every detail, every testimony, every piece of evidence represents someone who risked their life to escape North Korea and tell their story. These defectors face constant danger, not just during their escape, but for the rest of their lives, as the North Korean regime actively hunts down those who reveal state secrets. The regime goes to extraordinary lengths to prevent information about these parties from reaching the outside world. Security personnel working at these events undergo specialized training and have extensive experience in ensuring both physical security and information control. The number of people with direct knowledge is deliberately kept as small as possible. When information does leak, the consequences are severe. The regime has been known to penalize not just the person who leaked information, but their family. But despite these obstacles, brave individuals continue to come forward with their testimonies. Each new account helps fill in pieces of a puzzle that reveals the true nature of how power operates in one of the world's most secretive regimes. One of the most troubling aspects of this entire situation is how little international action has been taken, despite widespread knowledge of these abuses. While governments around the world condemn North Korea's nuclear program and human rights violations in general terms, there has been remarkably little specific focus on the systematic exploitation represented by the pleasure squad system. Part of this reluctance comes from the difficulty of verification. Because these activities happen in complete secrecy, it's challenging for international bodies to gather the kind of evidence needed for formal legal proceedings. But there's also a political calculation at play. Many countries prioritize nuclear negotiations and regional stability over human rights concerns. The United Nations has documented extensive human rights abuses in North Korea, but the pleasure squad system represents a level of systematic exploitation that goes beyond even these well-documented violations. The international community's failure to address this specific issue sends a message about what kinds of human rights violations are considered acceptable as long as they happen behind closed doors. There's also the uncomfortable reality that some foreign officials and business leaders may have witnessed or even participated in these activities during diplomatic visits or business negotiations. This creates a web of complicity that makes it politically difficult for some countries to take strong action. What we've uncovered today isn't just a story about one dictator's personal excesses. It's a window into how absolute power corrupts absolutely, and how authoritarian systems create environments where the most basic human rights become meaningless. The secret parties of Kim Jong Un represent the logical endpoint of a system where one person's desires matter more than the lives and dignity of thousands of others. Thanks for being with us. Leave a comment, like to show your support, and remember to hit that subscribe button for more exciting videos. See you next time.